Okay, hit it. We're happening? Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all to the Village of New Paltz Planning Board meeting for May the 6th, 2014. It is now 7:07, and my name is Maurice Whiteman, Chair of the Planning Board. I call this meeting to order. I would like to introduce you all to our other board members. Michael Zerler is here, Rich Steffens, Elizabeth Harshaw, and John Linton is not yet here. Our secretary is Brogan Rose O'Donnell, and the village planner, among other things, is Brenda White. Before we start, most of us know that Monday, May 5th, was Cinco de Mayo. Does anybody know what May 4th is?
Cinco de Mayo Eve.
Cinco de Quattro.
Cinco de Quattro. Star Trek.
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Do you know why Star Wars?
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th. That's putting down for a comic.
6th grade middle school student told me, and so that's, now that we have the calendar out of the way, our agenda has 3 ZBA referrals, and we have adoption of our draft minutes. Comment?
He's still working on
We
the
haven't made a motion yet, you can't comment, okay. So the ZBA referrals are in numerical sequence, which has to do with when they were presented to us. First, the ZBA 1407, proposed banner signage for historic Huguenot Street. And they're asking for a use variance. Then there is ZBA 1408, which is a change of use from a vacant barn to a one-bedroom apartment at 36-38 Main Street. And that would be an area variance. Another area variance called ZBA 1409 is a proposed mixed-use apartment above an existing business at 44 North Chestnut, just on the other side of the street. Okay. We also have adoption of planning board minutes, draft minutes from April 15th. And I also want to discuss one of our dormant and perhaps abandoned application that I don't have the number, but it is Mr. Johnson's.
1307.
Yeah, thank you. PB 1307. We'll talk about that later. See if we can do something about that this evening. Okay, so let's do these in order. The first one is from Historic Huguenot Street, and they would like to hang double-sided 2 by 6 foot banners from poles on a long-term basis to outline the historic district. And in the application itself, in the body of the application is handwritten something that I wasn't quite sure. It said 36. I couldn't quite believe it was 30. But they want to hang 36 of these signs with logos of the houses to delineate the district and make it easier for visitors to get scope. Okay, so Michael, before we start, Michael called me earlier to ask if he would have to recuse himself from any of this because he is on the, what are you again?
There's an advisory council.
Advisory council
For this
for historic Huguenot Street.
Yes, I'm a member of that.
And I told him that I didn't think he had to since he didn't have any financial gain or anything like that, but you can use your judgment when it comes down to this later.
Sure.
I have told this applicant, and after discussing it with Bren, that I would not want to take action on this until after the Historic Preservation Committee has given us and ZBA their opinion about this project. I spoke with Tom Olson, who would like something from us, an email saying, please add this to your agenda and give us a thing.
He has it, he actually got it a month ago.
Okay,
And they've resent it.
okay,
So he has it.
good. So that they will meet on their meeting of May 19th. And the ZBA will meet next on, I'll get there, June 10th, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's when I told the applicant that ZBA would be discussing this. So there are some issues here. I'd like to hear. One, you got what Bren wrote us about this. I think you wrote us something, Bren?
I did.
I thought so. And
There is a second email?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, I didn't see that, I didn't bring that, no.
okay, let me see if I can find it. Do you have a copy of the printed, Bren?
No, but if you
Okay.
want, I can remember.
No, that's okay. I can look for it. I just
I'm looking for it.
I didn't print it out, and I will find it.
I think it was titled 1407, the email.
That would be appropriate. So we're in PB. I'm sorry for taking this time. 1408. 1407.
Maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking that.
Hmm.
Okay, let me see here. Can you tell me about when you might have sent this, Brad?
I think last week.
Okay, I got something, I have something here about 1408, which, yes?
I think I have it. Yeah,
Okay,
I have
good.
it.
What date was it?
It was 5/2/14, and it was recommendation ZBA 1407. If you want, I can pass you my computer,
No, that's okay.
or I can resend it.
Recommendation 1407, May the 2nd, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I know we spoke about it, but I don't know, but can you just read it to us, please,
Sure.
for the record?
Okay. This use variance application requests permission to hang 3 double-sided 24-inch by 72-inch banners from poles throughout the historic district on a long-term, permanent basis. While the idea of district identifying banners along historic Huguenot Street do not seem inappropriate, I am almost always inclined to recommend against granting use variances. New York State has strict regulations concerning the granting of such variances, stating that no such use variance shall be granted by a Board of Appeals without a showing by the applicant that applicable zoning regulations and restrictions have caused unnecessary hardship. It also requires the strict criteria be proven by the applicant, none of which have been met here. I have advised the applicant of the use variance process and suggested the historic Huguenot Street be prepared to go to the village board to request a code amendment allowing banners in the historic district. To that end, the planning board may want to consider what size and style may be appropriate so that they can give feedback to the village board if the applicant decides to proceed in that manner.
Thank you.
Sure.
And that the record showed that at that time, both Bren and I thought that maybe they had 3, because it was a little bit smudgy on the application, but we've since been corrected that it is 36. And on the drawing itself that they submitted with the application, there are a number of gray, to my eyes, dots, which indicate the placement of these banners. I counted 20-something of them.
Me too.
And Rebecca said that no, there are 36, and so I don't know. But anyhow, it's important from my perspective to know where these are going to be. The issue that I have, aside from the legal technical planning issues are the impact on the residents who live there. I understand why they would want this. I understand why they want to have their brand there, but I'm concerned about residents finding these things there that they might find objectionable for some way. So in that regard, a public hearing might be able to flesh that out, as will the historic district's recommendation. So there's that. And then I'm not sure how many of you received George's meeting memo today. So he mentioned some of the things that Bren did. And I think the idea that the village board should play a role in this is a good one. I would hope that they would wait for the Historic Preservation Committee also. And I don't know what the mechanism would be to initiate a village board referral or action here. In any event, I would like to wait until we get the Historic Preservation Committee's thing. And I'd like to hear from Michael, who knows the most about this and may have some opinions.
No, I don't, I mean, it's hard for me to tell too how many. 36 seems like an extraordinary number of banners.
I counted 25.
And I can count about 2 dozen. It doesn't look like from the map that they would necessarily impact residents, except maybe some people in the condominiums and maybe one house at the very end. If this is all of them, but who knows, I'm not sure.
Well, it's not.
Right,
It's
so
just
where
that-
else they go?
Yeah.
So that's an issue. My understanding is that what they're trying to do is create more distinctive recognition of where the historic district begins and ends and what encompasses it, for several purposes, for visitors, but also to try to deal with the problem of automobile traffic on the street. And they recognize this is only a partial solution to the problem, but they'd like to do something sooner rather than later, understanding that other ways of trying to deal with that. So I agree with you, Maurice, that we should hear what the Historic Preservation Commission has to say, because they have the most responsibility of all the municipal boards over this area, and they're most well acquainted with other issues that they've dealt with along that street in terms of
Right.
how it looks.
So George's recommendations sound good to me, but I really would like to wait until we hear from HPC, and then we'll just take further action. As I said, I've already told Ms. Mackey that that's the schedule we're on, and at some point we can figure out at our next meeting or at the meeting after HPC meets, which will be, it's going to be the week before the ZBA meeting, I guess.
It's
Is that right?
June 3rd or something.
Yeah, ours is June 2nd, right?
Yeah, they meet the 10th.
They meet the 19th. And we have a meeting the next day,
Oh,
the 20th.
they meet the 19th. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that right? That's what I remember it being the 19th.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
So there should be no reason why we can't have their
Right.
recommendation for the 20th, but I would like to do that. I would like to wait until we get that on the 20th, and then we can decide whether we should just give a recommendation to ZBA or follow George's and Bren's.
Oh, who meets the 19th? HPC?
HPC,
Oh, this, you're right.
May 19th.
Yes, got it.
And our
Yeah.
next meeting is 2 weeks from today, the 20th.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so I would request then that we just table this until the next meeting. And we'll, I don't think we need any vote for that, so we're just,
Just table it.
it's on the table. Okay, the next item is ZBA 1408, which is the building at 3638 Main Street where they want to change the barn into a one-bedroom apartment. And we got something from Mark about this, did we not? Yes. That would be the, it's not 44, that's this one, okay. So he says, after reviewing the proposed conversion of the garage into a single-family dwelling, this department has come to the following conclusions. That the property does not meet the minimum lot size for the uses. The rear lot setback does not meet the minimum of 10 feet. For these reasons, the department has denied the application until you've been granted a variance from the zoning board. So hence the application to ZBA. And I do have in front of me a copy of the memo that Bren wrote to us and to ZBA, in which she says, I will read this, Bren Brogan, you can take a rest now. This application requests to allow the conversion of a vacant barn into a one-bedroom apartment which requires area variances for lot size and rear yard setbacks. The area variance for lot size is a substantial one, which is one of the criteria that New York State requires to be considered by ZBA. The village code requires 20,000 square feet for this combination of usage, while the parcel has slightly more than one-half that size, 10,629. The owner currently has 2 commercial businesses and 2 rental units on the property, which may impact the board's thoughts on any alleged hardship, another criterion required by New York State. Applicant has also not expressly proven in the application any of the other 3 criteria that the board is required to consider. The board meaning the zoning board, right?
Yes.
As for the area variance for rear yard setback, since the rear of the parcel is basically on South Chestnut Street and the barn already exists, I see no problem with granting that variance. But of course, if the ZBA is inclined to deny the area variance for lot size, this additional variance would be rendered useless. It's also unclear based on the current site plan whether the parcel in question has adequate parking for the proposed additional residential use. So, let's see what George wrote about that. Applied for a building permit to convert garage or barn into a one-family dwelling. Substantial variances are required. Neither the code nor state law provides a legal standard for planning board review. In contrast, under state village law, the ZBA must explicitly consider 5 factors, and he lists the 5 factors, and we know all that. The role of a planning board in this context is not necessarily to duplicate the ZBA's task, nor is it to interpret any particular section of the code. It's rather to apply its broad understanding of planning principles, and its understanding of the comprehensive plan and zoning law in determining whether this type of area variance the village should be, this is the type of area variance the village should be granting. I realize this is a fine distinction, but there is no clearer guidance. The planning board should adopt a resolution by voice vote. The person who moves the recommendation should state the reason for the recommendation. Brogan can then transmit a copy of the minutes to ZBA as the report. So, what do you think, Rich?
They don't have a parking on the site,
Right,
just don't have it.
right.
The building is almost up against the line.
Yeah.
Going beyond our zoning code, you get into the building codes. I don't know how they're physically going to make that building work, but that's not our concern. If the building inspector thinks they can. I don't see any grounds for it. I mean, the man's got a property that's already got 4 incomes on it. He's got 2 businesses and 2
Well,
apartments.
that's a zoning board rubric choice, right? If he can express hardship, what is the what's the term for that?
Undue
Undue
hardship.
Yeah, but that hardship isn't the result of the fact that he may have paid too much for the building.
That's right, but that's not our concern.
That's not our concern.
No.
And that's not hardship. I mean, my view of hardship is that he's got no other means by which to
You can
fix
use,
the
you
problem.
can use the land, yeah.
Right.
Right.
And he's got reasonable use of the land there.
Right, so our concern though is from the planning perspective of whether this would be good for the village in consideration of comprehensive plan and the zoning for the district. Michael, what do you think? Do you have any?
In principle, it seems like a good idea to try to put more residences mixed with businesses downtown. And there are a number of businesses in the area. So in principle, I would think it would be a good idea, but in reality, it looks like a difficult piece of property to improve without basically starting over. And without any plans, clear detailed plans, which I presume if they were going to, would we see this based on the new village code? If they wanted to do
Would we have a chance to review his application to?
or is this strictly a building permit? I don't know if this falls into the,
I
I
think it
think
would
if he
be,
gets the variances.
Is he looking to make it a two-family?
well, we're good for seeing everything at this point.
That's right.
So,
I would think that would have to come in front of us.
yeah.
It's a
That-
barn now, it's not a house.
No, it's not a house. So it's not a. So in that sense, I feel like it's a difficult one for to make work at that site. On the other hand, having just a vacant garage is not necessarily great either. So I'm undecided about it at this point. I'll wait to hear what other people.
Liz, do you have any opinions?
Yes,
Would you like to share them with us?
sure.
Thank you.
Where it is presently situated is, if this is anywhere near to scale, is what, a couple of feet away from two property lines?
Mhm.
And that if this were to then become a residential unit, and we don't know what is on the adjoining owners, I believe presently it's the Rock and Snow Annex.
Rock and Snow Annex is one, and the apartment building is the other.
So that we would be allowing a residence to become too close to another residence, so we'd be breaking our own rules. I know that there's a parking problem there. I tried turning around in there once. It took me 15 minutes to do it because there was so many cars in there. I would be inclined to say, along with the fact that they are asking for such a huge variance on the area, you know, it's half of what it needs to be. It's kind of like asking for just a bit too much there. But that's just my opinion.
And that's why we pay you the big bucks, Liz.
I mean, I see nothing historically or architecturally significant to make it worth saving that barn. I think the land use would be better as parking.
Well, if the guy is concerned about getting that particular piece of property, that particular structure, some money for him, why doesn't he rent it out as a storage unit?
Well, okay, so it is a very large variance. This we can say without fear of reprisal. Would anybody like to make a motion to recommend either way to the zoning board? We have reviewed
I would
this.
move that would be denied based on the lot size and proximity to lot line.
Do you think that's good enough to give to zoning board? Do we have to give other reasons?
I
Sure.
think-
Yes.
I think what you're saying is that they're substantial, and
Yes.
that's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of
Yeah,
asking for
the other
the...
opinions I have are all subjective. Because I like it or don't like it, doesn't
Right,
matter.
that doesn't matter.
But those two reasons are the reasons
Yeah.
why
Yeah. Michael, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can just say,
Yeah, go ahead. I'm still sort of on the fence
yeah,
about it.
okay.
I mean,
okay.
I
Rich
don't,
made a
I
motion.
don't deny Rich's motion. It's accurate.
Do I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion for this motion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have enough, Brogan, to give to ZBA? Okay, thank you.
Do
Third,
the applicants
Yes.
not know about these meetings? None of them showed. All three applications.
well, it's not a public hearing,
No, but
and it's not that they would,
Well, the Historic Huguenot Street, because of my connection,
but they've had.
I was
applications,
asked
okay.
whether they should attend tonight, and the recommendation was that they didn't need to, specifically because what Maurice said earlier, which was that we wanted to get additional information from the Historic Preservation Commission before we then, so it might be that it'd be appropriate for somebody to be here at our next meeting.
And I have recommended that if applicants are going to come to one meeting, it should be the ZBA in these cases.
the public hearing, yes, yes. Okay, the final ZBA item is on 44 North Chestnut, and it is ZBA 14-09. And I will read to you what, I guess it was Mark wrote here. Yes. After reviewing the proposed change of use, this department's come to the following determinations. The proposed mixed-use apartment over business is an allowed use. All lot requirements are within minimum requirements except for lot size. Minimum requirement for the commercial is 5,000 square feet, for residential 7,260. You'll need a total of 12,260. As of now, they have 6,970, which is a large variance. A review of the past application from someone else for 2 units above a business has had recommendations from the zoning board to allow 1 residential unit over the business of which you are requesting. And I do recall that discussion, and that was one, I think you started talking about parking as a contiguous area
Yes.
behind all the buildings, yeah. Which nothing happened,
No, but they've got the parking on site there. I mean, this is another place where our zoning looks to develop that street with offices on the first floor and apartments on the second floor.
right,
But the buildings don't have lots
large
that
enough to do
support
it.
that
Right,
zoning.
right.
It'd be different if those two would line up, but they don't. I mean,
Right, now what the
this is an
code,
unusually small lot, by the way.
this is what?
This is not an unusually
Yes,
small
I know,
lot.
it's quite typical, right. The code says that the principally permitted use is a mixed-use apartment above the first floor consisting of not more than 3 bedrooms. We don't know, I asked Brent about having a floor plan or something that shows how many people they're gonna put in there. We haven't gotten anything yet, yeah.
How many people or how many bedrooms?
Well, you know, bedrooms is what our code says. I guess I was trying to sneak one in there to get how many people. But yeah, I mean, there's no way we can regulate for people, really.
Well, because we have 2-person occupancy size bedrooms also in our code.
Yeah. So, anyhow, anybody have any further information about this application you'd like to share or discuss? Brent, did you give us anything about this besides the...
I didn't,
Okay.
because I don't feel like it's completed.
Right,
We need more information.
right. And you've told that to the applicant?
I'm not positive that it has made it to the applicant yet,
Okay,
but it is certainly going to,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so I think we've asked We will have asked for more information from the applicant, and I think we should table this until our next meeting, until they provide that for Brenda and us to see. Anybody have anything else to say about it? Would you like to change the course? Would you like to try to do something tonight? I'm happy to wait. Okay. So we will table this one until our next meeting and/or when they provide the information.
When's the ZBA meeting? Do we have a meeting before the next ZBA meeting?
No,
Yeah, they're in June.
the next CBA meeting is next.
It's next week,
Next week?
Tuesday.
yes. And it'll be the week after, well, we all have 2 meetings before their next meeting,
Okay.
for the meeting after next week's.
Are they taking any of these up next week?
We're supposed to have adequate time to review these. We're supposed to have 30 days to review these, right?
Well, you know, the application, I mean, I don't know that there's anything in the code that says it has to be complete before we have to do anything about it, but we got this at the end of April, I think. Is that right? I'm not sure when the building department got it. For this one, it's dated April 28th from Mark. The application itself is dated,
4/2,
I'm sorry, April 2nd?
yes.
So I'm not sure
April
why.
2nd?
You sure?
Well, it's signed by the applicant on the 2nd.
That doesn't mean much.
I'm sorry, up at the
Oh.
top it says date received 4/25.
Okay, so we have time for, certainly for the next meeting. So we have 2 other items. One is adoption of the draft planning board minutes from April 15th. Oh, I'd like to make note that John is not getting his cookie. Does anybody have any comments or corrections to the draft minutes?
Can I vote on minutes that I was only getting
No.
after the meeting?
Oh, you can mention, yes, you were at the
Every
meeting.
half the meeting.
You were at the meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anybody have any comments or,
Well, I was not here for the Woodland Pond section, so I have no comment on that.
well, all I mean is the correctness and completeness of the minutes. Okay, so, Liz? Okay, I have a motion to approve the draft minutes. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Alright.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. That was, yeah, we almost, man. Okay, so the remaining thing that I would like to discuss tonight is applicant Johnson, and Liz has said that it's PB 13-0 something. 7.
Yeah, because it's on our minutes from the 15th.
Thank you very
That's
much.
the only reason I knew the number.
Okay, so Brenda can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that he was told to make an application to ZBA for some of the problems that he had with his project from us. He has made an application that we found was incomplete, as was our planning board application incomplete. We have tried to contact him a few times. He has not responded. He has not attended any of our public hearings that we have been continuing. So what I'd like to do, with your consent, is to send him a letter saying that unless he completes and submits the applications to us by let's say by this Friday, or lets us know that he's going to be doing that by a date certain, we will consider this application to have been abandoned. I think that's the correct word. The timing of the next time we will, I would want to do this so that at our next meeting, 2 weeks from tonight, we will reopen the public hearing, and if he hasn't submitted anything or told us that he will have it by the meeting after that, let's say, I'm going to close the I would like to close the public hearing and deem the application to be abandoned. So we will send him a letter to that regard, and I will sign it, or you can sign it with your little squiggly next to my name. And so may I have a motion to tell the applicant that, and
You're
period.
giving him until this Friday?
Well, you know, I want to have some time to view it before the next, I mean, he's had months.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm just trying to go through a little bit of time sequence here.
Yeah.
If Brogan gets it out tomorrow. and
We'll have a
gets
day,
it out-
we'll have a day.
Well, I can call his cell phone. He usually answers. And then I can actually talk to him. And I'll probably know by tomorrow where he stands with everything.
The letter you probably have to send in some formal manner, right?
Yes, yeah,
Certified or something like that.
I would think the letter should be sent certified, but
Okay. So,
calling him would be
Yeah,
fine,
but you
Calling
should
is a
call.
nice idea.
yes.
Yeah, no, calling makes sense, but I mean, for the record, you'll need to.
So, okay, so what do we do for timing here? So, yes, we have 2 weeks from tonight. Is
I'm just saying,
next week.
if you got a
In
letter done
theory-
tomorrow and mailed, we wouldn't get it. till
That's
then.
right. In theory, Rich, we're supposed to have 2 weeks before.
Right.
I would say that if we had it a week before,
I'm willing to go with that.
it could be a complex thing, but we can at least have it and continue the public hearing from that point on. So can we say then that unless we have the completed applications delivered to the planning department by Tuesday, May 13, we will at our next meeting, May 20th, open the public hearing, deem the application to have been abandoned, and close the public hearing. We will vote to do those things. May I have a second to that motion,
Second.
please? All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. So Brogan, I can come by, are you gonna be in tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
can come by around lunchtime,
Sounds good.
and I'll sign whatever you need me to sign.
Okay.
Is there something here that I needed to sign also? There's the resolution?
No, you came in already.
I did that, okay. And there are some POs that we have to look at?
POs are done.
Okay. And we should do the escrow stuff. Can we do something tomorrow about that?
I'm meeting with Katie for 3 hours, if not more.
Good
to
luck.
Go over the escrows.
Yes,
so.
okay. So that will be when?
From 1 to 3.
Okay.
Or maybe 1 to 4.
Yeah, okay. So we might not be able to meet tomorrow then.
Unless you want to come down and join us.
Well, I have to work.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I can update you.
You want to come on the bus with me?
Anytime.
Okay. Okay, so we'll talk, after you've met with Katie, give me a call.
But you didn't receive anything for tonight,
From whom?
Katie.
No,
Okay.
no. I did not. I wasn't looking for it. I got some things from clerks, but not that.
Okay. Because I know she was thinking of trying to send something out, but maybe the deadline was too close.
Let me see. I have my network off, so I'm not going to be able to get mail while I'm. Let me just check this, and then we can blast out of here. Well, it's not being happy for me. Okay, so let's just
Okay.
assume that we didn't get it. We didn't have it by the time I left home about 6:45, so I'm going to assume that we didn't get anything. So we'll have to talk sometime. I sent Floyd Niffen an email, which I sent you a copy of, right?
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. So he and George will have a chance to review those numbers.
Okay.
And we should do the same thing with Mr. Johnson and with the two others, the
Yeah.
decks and the sunrooms. And I think those are the
Okay.
only four. Is that right?
Those were the only
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to hear the dulcet tones of somebody making a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Rich. I've had a second. I heard a second
Second,
from Liz. You in favor of that?
We'll
All in
find
favor?
out, won't we?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I should have asked for any discussion in case. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. We're done.